Hi guys, tonight's video is going to be a little different. While trying to relax today on my birthday, I came across the tragic story, of a young boy named James Hutchinson. James was a 6-year-old boy. James, he was a first grader at his local elementary. James was described by all his teachers as a very lovable, very smiley and playful child. He seemed to love school and really to love life altogether. He lived with his mom, Brittany Hosney, and her boyfriend, James Hamilton, who was 42. The mother's 29. James also had two older siblings who were 7 and 9 years old.
Smile on his face, and he gave the biggest, and as they said, the bestest hugs you've ever imagined. That was James on a daily basis. You know, oftentimes in education we have incentives to reward students for making their dreams come true and reaching their goals. One recent incentive at Rosa Parks Elementary, we found James in the cafeteria with a big smile on his face because he was rewarded with the lucky lunch tray, and that was important to him. The staff just shared how joyful he was to be able to receive the lucky lunch tray.
So, James' dad, Lewis, he says, quote, "James is really funny," end quote. He said he was a great kid. James' teacher, Mr. Pfeiffer, said that James came every day to school and he always had a smile on his face and was very well behaved, and scholastically was very motivated and loved to help others. On the morning of February 28th, 2021 at 10 a.m., Brittany, James's mother, and the boyfriend, Mr. Hamilton, walked into the Middleton police station reporting that little James had went missing the previous night.
And it was a little unusual because usually when you have a missing child, the first thing to do as the parents is they contact the police. They said he was missing since Saturday night. That was an unusual situation.
Guys, on the morning of the 28th of February, 2021, at about 10 a.m., Brittany, James's mother, and the boyfriend, Mr. Hamilton, walked into the Middleton police station and reported James missing. Mom and boyfriend told the police that James went missing the previous night. Now, due to the inconsistencies in their story, James' mother and her boyfriend, Mr. Hamilton, were questioned separately. Mr. Hamilton, over the prior months, had been allegedly pressuring the mother, Brittany, to kind of get rid of the children she had. She kind of, he wanted her to himself, and was just really wanting it to be party time. So at which time, Brittany loaded all 3 of the children into the car, traveling approximately 60 miles to a wildlife area called Rush Run. Now, Rush Run was, like I said, about 60 miles away, during which time she had about an hour to think about what she was going to do to her children. Upon arriving at Rush Run at 3 a.m., she pulled into an area where her and Mr. Hamilton, her boyfriend, had taken the 3 children to fish previously. So she was kind of familiar with the area in a sense. So what her plan was to appease Mr. Hamilton in the ultimate way and abandon her 3 children. For whatever reason, James in particular didn't want to be left at Rush Run with his 2 siblings. So at that time, James reached up, guys, and grabbed the door handle of his mother's car while she was attempting to abandon him and his 2 siblings. At that time, James grabbed the door handle and he was drugged down the street an undetermined amount of distance, at which time his mother ran him over with the car. Now, she continued going for a period of about 30 or 45 minutes. It's not clear where she went or how far she went, but she did at that time, after about 45 minutes, she turned around to go check on little James and render him aid, and found him dead in the road. So, after returning to little James's body, she placed his little body along with the other two siblings back into the car, guys, and headed back home. When she got there, her boyfriend, Mr. Hamilton, and herself unloaded James's little body and put him into the spare bedroom of their house. Approximately 24 hours later, making that about 3 a.m. the next day, that's when mom and boyfriend, they traveled to Lawrenceburg. And that's in Indiana, and they take little James's body and they throw him into the Ohio River. And that's the same day they go later and report him about 7 hours later at 10 a.m. to the Middleton police as missing. Now, because not many of the details between mom and Mr. Hamilton's statements matched, they had problems initially, but as the investigation progressed and the questioning progressed, they did, however, admit to dumping little James's body in the Ohio River down in Lawrenceburg. And that, however, guys, is the only thing that matched out of all of their statements. Now, all the search warrants involved in the case were sealed. Now, to add to the frustration and in the search and all of that, Brittany led the police to the exact spot in Lawrenceburg where her and Mr. Hamilton dumped little James. But because it was the spring melt, the water was very churny. It was filled with a lot of debris and items. And unfortunately, to date, James's little body has not been recovered.
The search for James just started, but is now paused because of the rising levels in the Ohio River.
It is frustrating because, you think that if not as much time goes by, you'll find the person, you have a better indication of where the person may be, but with this water and the time going past, you don't know.
The river is expected to reach 54 feet by Thursday.
If you had a boat out in this type of weather with the water, it could be hard to control the boat. Also, sometimes the water may look calm on top, but underneath it's anything but.
Items are moving by us so quickly, logs and large debris, that it's hard to see what we're even looking for.
I don't want to be in any waterways at this point. When the water rises rapidly after a long winter, it's going to pick up all sorts of debris that are on the riverbanks. So as you can see, the water is kind of churning a little bit, lots of...
Gathered tonight to honor the life of 6-year-old James Hutchinson. And 2 News reporter Caroline Morse spoke with family members at that vigil there tonight.
James's family says today overall feels like an absolute nightmare, but tonight they are feeling overwhelmed by the love and compassion from their own Middletown community.
I really can't describe it. Words can't put it together. I can't put it together.
Hundreds of candles glowed for several hours in memory of 6-year-old James Hutchinson. James's family says they are in disbelief and shocked after his mother, Brittany Gosney, confessed to killing him on Monday.
Pray for the other 2 kids. Keep the family in mind when making posts on Facebook or Twitter or whatnot. This is a very, very trying time, and it is a very taxing time.
The Middletown community says they gathered to mourn the loss of a bright soul, tragically taken too soon. James's aunt Lisa Gosney said right now the family feels shattered, but will keep his memory alive for decades to come. And if he is listening, they had one last message for James.
That I love you so much. I love you so much. And I'm so sorry that I wasn't there. I'm so sorry.
There will be another vigil held for James tomorrow at Barnett Stadium. That is absolutely welcome to the public, and everyone is encouraged to wear purple. For more information on that vigil, visit our website, WDTN.com, and click on As Seen on 2 News. Live in Middletown, I'm Caroline Morse. 2 News, working for you.
Today, James Hutchinson's mother and her boyfriend appeared in Butler County Court in connection with the 6-year-old's death.
And News reporter Adam Reif joins us live in Butler County to break down exactly what happened in that courtroom today.
Today, Brittany Gosney and James Hamilton both pleaded not guilty here in Butler County Court, paving the way for a jury trial later on. Meanwhile, further south along the Ohio River, conditions again unsafe today, meaning dive teams could not search for James Hutchinson's body. Handcuffed and wearing orange jumpsuits, Brittany Gosney and James Hamilton walked silently into court Monday afternoon for their arraignment hearings. A grand jury charges the 29-year-old Gosney with 16 counts, including murder, kidnapping, tampering with evidence, and gross abuse of a corpse. She did not speak to the judge during her 6-minute hearing.
She has received a copy of the indictment greater than 24 hours prior to this hearing. She's 29 years old, Judge. We're going to plead not guilty to all charges at this time.
The state argued given the serious nature of the charges, Brittany Gosney poses a threat to the community and her bond should be set at $2 million. The judge agreed and also ordered she have no contact with her other 2 children that are now being cared for by Children's Services.
We'll also order that if the defendant is released, that she report to pretrial services on a weekly basis with drug tests, and we'll also order that a GPS unit be placed on her.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor. After Gosney was taken out, James Hamilton appeared next. He faces 15 counts, including kidnapping, gross abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. Hamilton's attorney also entered a not guilty plea and argued though he also faces serious charges, he is not charged with murder, and so his bond should be significantly less than Gosney's.
He indicates to me that although he does have some prior felony history, it has been since about 2007 that he's had any contact with the court on a felony level.
The judge set Hamilton's bond at $750,000. Hamilton also did not speak while in court Monday. Back out live to the Hamilton City Building and Butler County Courthouse. Both Gosney and Hamilton are scheduled to have those jury trials begin on May 24th. The next pre-trial meeting will be on March 22nd. Live in Hamilton, Adam Reif, 2 News, working for you.
Wow, guys, this was an especially bad case. I, for the life of me, cannot understand this upward trend that I see in all the disappearances and just the downright murdering of children. They are our finest gift. They are the future. And it makes me sick, guys, to even try to put myself in Miss Hosney and Mr. Hamilton's state of mind, even for just a moment, to try and see how I could invent an angle to justify myself to stand in front of a judge or magistrate and plead not guilty. I understand, that the judge, they have parameters in which they operate by and within. And, I feel like, the mother, you should set a very strong precedent with a no bond on that. That's especially heinous. It's you get to a level of heinous where you're like, okay, run your child over while you're dragging him by the car, or put him in a microwave, or like whatever you could do to a child that's heinous. Like, you get to that level where there's no more degrees. It doesn't get any worse, right? It's just as bad as it can be. Now, Mr. Hamilton, I hope that we find out later on down the road that he played a part in masterminding Miss Hosney's trip down to the Rush Run. I pray that man had something to do with that, so that he can have that murder charge. Now, Miss Hosney, yep, she's got 16 counts, like you heard. She pled not guilty. Somewhere in there's a murder charge. It's probably, I didn't get a list of the charges, but I'm assuming it's a second or a third degree type situation, although it very well could have been the first degree. I don't know. Mr. Hamilton, on the other hand, because he doesn't have that murder charge, like you heard, guys, it's $750K. Now, what that means in the real world is that someone with average to moderate resources could get out on a 10% deal. That's $75,000, and that man walks for a moment, anyways, after throwing a beautiful, precious little boy's body into the vicious Ohio River, guys. I just don't understand what kind of drugs people must be on or experimenting with to do all of this. I mean, in my opinion, the lady's not going to beat the charges. So, the idiocracy that it took and the ignorance that it took, or just plain callousness that it took to run that child over. First of all, having the ideal that you'll abandon 3 of your biological children, ranging in age from 9 to 6. When at least we know James, little James, he has a dad, Lewis, right? He's got a dad. I don't know if all 3 children are Lewis's or not, but if they were, it's like, Brittany, I'll smack some sense into you. Somebody needed to have, before it got to this. You didn't just turn the kids over to the father. Good night. I just can't understand. Guys, what this is the devil is alive. We very well could be living in the end times, guys. The end times. This is called famicide. For those that don't know, famicide is when you kill someone in your family. It's not just homicide. Clinically, they call it famicide. So it's a phenomenon. It's as much a phenomenon for a mother to kill her own children as it would be for a child to kill a maternal or a paternal unit. It's just that next level of deviism, whether it be the symptom of drug abuse, a mental instability, emotional instabilities, hard pressuring from a loved one with certain mitigating factors. You get results like this, guys. What I want to say is that again, guys, we're looking at this trend of small town demographic, and maybe the inability or the lack of ability to bring awareness to certain cases. Now, I don't know that little James and his siblings were being abused outside of this situation, but it stands to reason that to arrive at a place where you're going to abandon your children, that was a progressive type deal. And so, guys, I want to say right now that if you even think of a child that is being abused, neglected, or otherwise, contact your local law enforcement immediately, guys. Don't waste time. It's better to be wrong and ask for forgiveness than to let another child's life slip through our hands, guys. Especially if you feel like there's some precursory reason to have believed that there was some neglect or abuse, whether it be physical or emotional. In this case, very physical. I mean, you just look at that sweet boy. He's so reminiscent of my own son. So, guys, I'm going to leave you with that because there's just not much more I want to say about the mom or any of the parental units at all. I kind of feel like shame on Mr. Lewis, although he lost one child that I know of for sure. God bless him if all 3 of his children are being affected by this. We do know that the 2 remaining siblings are in state custody, guys. So just no good ending to this one. And I bring this up more as a plight of awareness, folks. If you feel that there could be a chance that you know about a child that's being abused or neglected emotionally or physically, you have to be a mandated reporter. Guys, if you have children, nieces, nephews, make yourself a mandated reporter and look for the signs, bruising, children that are withdrawn, even, a different type of withdrawn, even with the pandemic going on. We have certain statistics that are coming out now, guys, that make domestic and family violence a very real thing during this pandemic. All sorts of mental phenomenon that people are suffering due to pandemic and the things that they indulge in during all this free time. So guys, let's hold on to these babies. Let's circle the wagon around these babies. And again, I know for the third time I reiterate, if you feel like you know of a child that's being abused or neglected, do your due diligence. Whether you were a child that was neglected or abused, we all have heard the stories, the horror stories, guys, of children being neglected or abused. And this is just the most atrocious story as of the recent past. So please, guys, everyone keep young James in your prayers, in hopes that this Ohio River will slow down and that we can bring this young boy home and give him a proper burial, guys. This is just heinous, guys. The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence, guys. Please keep young James in your prayers in the worst way. I love all of you. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're not already. Comments, questions, or concerns, leave them in the box below. Keep it friendly. God bless you guys.